What's up, everybody? Welcome into A to Z Sports Picks. Brad and I are going to have a great special Thursday edition show for you. Get you ready for Game 2 of the NBA Finals, UFC 264 this weekend, and more. Brian, it's good to see you, buddy. How we doing?
Good. My fault. I should have reminded our audience that we were going Thursday. Since we're going Thursday because of me, because I'm flying to Vegas. I'm going to go to the weigh-ins tomorrow for UFC 264. Not going to make the show. The prices are insane. $1,000 for standing room only. So I'm meeting a couple buddies. We're just going to watch it at the Circus Sportsbook. So fired up for a Vegas weekend, and hopefully our audience will figure it out that we're going today.
I love it, man. Yeah, that's fantastic, dude. That's going to be a fun weekend for sure. Fight weekends in Las Vegas are always the best. Everybody, welcome in A to Z Sports Picks. I'm Alan Bell, CBS Sportsline, alongside Brian Edwards of VegasInsider.com. A to Z Sports is brought to you every Tuesday and usually Friday, but today, Thursday, by BetMGM. They are the king of sportsbooks. Everyone make sure to download that BetMGM app. If you do, use promo code A to Z 100. And if you place a $1 moneyline wager on either the Bucks or the Suns tonight, whichever team that you want, if either of those teams hit a three-pointer, you get $100 in free bets. Literally the easiest way to do it. It's fantastic. I've done it. I've used it. It shows up quick. Literally the most free bet that you're ever going to have. That is BetMGM.com. Download that BetMGM app. They are the king of sports books. So visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. Must be 21 years or older. Must be present in the state of Tennessee. For gambling problem support, call the Tennessee Red Line at 800-889-9789. So, Brian, we're going live on Thursday. You know what? We're not going to waste any time. We're going right into it, right into Game 2 tonight, the NBA Finals. I'm going to put it up here so everybody can see. Now, depending on where you're at, what you bet, what book you're on, we're just kind of got, a Bucks at Suns. Suns a 5-point favorite. Total 220 and a half, I believe, right now at BetMGM. It's kind of moving, fluctuating between there. So, Brian, let's just jump right into it. Suns lead 1-0. Do we see similar to what we saw in Game 1, or are we going to see the Bucks come back, even it up, going back to Milwaukee? What are your thoughts on this game?
Well, props to you on your Phoenix team total over from Tuesday, and we both won. I had the over for the game. So we both cash winners there. My apologies that I led the audience to believe that Giannis wasn't going to play. I really didn't think he was, but fortunately, none of that. Me mentioning that did not impact the gambling result because we both were on the winner. But not only was I surprised that he played, he looked sharp to me. I mean, just 7 days removed from that injury, and so I kind of think Milwaukee plays them a little better tonight. But I'm just going to go with the over again. And like you said, it has kind of been fluctuating. It was kind of started at 221, early yesterday or late night on Tuesday. And this morning it was 219, and now it's back up. Like you said, it's 220 and 1/2 at our friends at BetMGM, and they have it at 5. A couple of books have moved to 4.5. So it looks like maybe some Milwaukee action, which, zigzag theory. And for those not familiar with the term zigzag theory, it's basically just playing the opposite of the ATS result from Game 1 in Game 2. A lot of sharp bettors like to do that. And Giannis, looking pretty good the other night. But I am going to leave the side alone. Now I would get involved perhaps in game or halftime. But right now I'm just going to get the over and just some quick notes on that. And where did my page go? Here we go. Sorry, 1 second here. Yeah, so not that last year really matters, but I'll nonetheless point out that the over is now cashed in 5 straight head-to-head meetings between these teams. The combined scores 223, 255, 249, 271, and 237. So all of those obviously north of tonight's number at 220 and 1/2. And with Giannis looking sharp, I felt in Game 1, you would think he'll only look even sharper tonight. So it's the over for me, and I guess if I had to say a side, I would maybe slightly lean to Milwaukee, but I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, look, I feel you. And look, we're going to jump right into the next segment of talking about our playoff parlays because it goes right to this game. Here's the deal. I'll go ahead and go with mine first. All right, I'm going to ride the Suns with the spread -5. I'm going to ride the over 220 as well. I'm also going to put in a prop bet. I'm going to ride that team total over 112.5 again for the Suns. And let me tell you why. Home teams in the NBA Finals that won Game 1, they won 4 of the last 5 Game 2s. And here's the deal. All 4 of those wins were by 10-plus points or more. And in Game 2, the home team scored more in regulation than they did in Game 1. So I like the Suns. I like the over. I like the over on the team total of 112.5. And look, I'm not saying that the Suns are going to blow it out in terms of their team total. They might get right at 118 again. They might get 120. It's probably going to be somewhat pretty close. But I do think kind of what you're saying. I think the Bucks do have a better game than they did in Game 1. I think we see a little bit better in terms of converting shots, both behind the arc, and regular, from the field as well. But again, I think that the Suns get the job done once again. And historically, we've seen, the home team winning Game 1, that they show up in Game 2 pretty nicely. So yeah, so my parlay +250. Again, I'm going to ride the Suns with the spread, and I'm also going to ride the over as well. So Brian, I'll kick it to you. What do you got here? I know that you've got a play on tonight and in the UFC for this weekend.
Yeah, so in my parlay, I'll start it with tonight's over, and then I'll add 2 more legs to it on Saturday, and we'll talk a little more UFC here later in the show as I have a couple straight plays as well. But in the parlay, tonight's over, 220.5, Milwaukee and Phoenix, and hopefully after that hits, we'll have 2 legs left on Saturday night. I'm going to go with Stephen Wonderboy Thompson against Gilbert Burns in the UFC 264 co-main event. Wonderboy at -160, and then I will go with Dustin the Diamond Poirier to defeat Conor McGregor in their trilogy bout in the headliner. Dustin at BetMG, our friends at BetMGM, he's currently at -130, and that will pay out +448 and change. Nice.
I like it. Now, I'm going to put this in the chat here really quickly. We can put the odds back up here. So our buddy Anthony Malley says this: Budenholzer, garbage Game 1 coach. Bucks show up in Game 2. Look, I agree. I think the Bucks have a much better game. I mean, honestly, the Suns had a solid game, but I think that they improved off of what they did. There were a couple nice spots, obviously, player-wise, but as a team, I think that they have a better Game 2 than they did in Game 1. I think the Bucks absolutely have a much better Game 2 than they did in Game 1. That's why I like this over so much, because what do we have? 118-105 was the final score in Game 1, correct? So I could see, honestly, the Suns, let's just say 118-120. Like, let's just say that they land right there again. I mean, I could see the Bucks going all the way up to 118-120 possibly. I'm not calling for it because I'm, riding the Suns spread. I think they do get the job done. But again, excuse me, just speaking of the over, yeah, I think that the Bucks absolutely have a much better Game 1 or Game 2 than they did in Game 1. So yeah, I agree with him there. Now, as we move on, let's go to our next segment, and we're going to continue talking about this series here. So what we've got, the most exciting game in sports betting, we're going to jump right back into it again. This is all NBA Finals Game 2 related. Let me put these odds up here. Everybody knows the game. You know the rules. You have to pick at least one. You could pick more than one, but you have to pick at least one. And everyone make sure, put in the chat wherever you're watching what your picks are in the game tonight. If you've got a nice parlay. And look, parlays could be anything. Could be, the finals tonight, like Brian showed. He's got picks of the UFC. If you've got Major League Baseball, whatever. I want to see what you're playing. And if you've got a nice little ticket that you're riding, man, let us in on that tip, right? Like, I'd love to ride that with you and give you all the props. So put those in. But as we go to this game right here, and the most exciting game in sports betting, I'm going to read through these, and everybody, you let me know the at least one that you're playing, but you can pick more than one, and Brian, you'll go first. So first up, Devin Booker to score 10-plus points in the first quarter, +110. Chris Paul to make 3+ three-pointers, +140. Giannis to score 30-plus points, +145. Bucks first to score 20 points, plus 115. Devin Booker to record 2+ steals, plus 275. Chris Middleton to record a double-double, plus 240. Suns to win by 7+ points, plus 105. And DeAndre Ayton to record 15+ rebounds, plus 210. So everybody in the chat, put those in of what you're taking. But Brian, I'm going to throw it to you first. What do you got, buddy?
Sorry about that. Okay. I was looking up some stats on Book. All right. So Booker's had 2+ steals in 3 of the last 4 games, including 3 steals in game 1. So I'll go with Booker. Oh, wow. That's a nice plus 275 as well. So I like that. That's probably my favorite. Then I will also go with DeAndre Ayton to get 15+ rebounds. And that's a nice payout as well at plus 210. Ayton had 19 boards in game 1. And as I'm getting to his stats here, okay, in the last game of the Clippers series, which was game 6, right? Yeah, he had 17 boards. Game 5, he only had 11. But game 4, he had 22. So here we go. DeAndre Ayton, just like Booker, 2+ steals in 3 of the last 14 games. Ayton has had 17 boards or more in 3 of the last 4, and those are 2 nice payouts. So those would be my 2. Booker, 2 steals or more, plus 275. Ayton, 15 boards or more at plus 210. And like I said, both of those stat combos have hit in 3 of the last 4 games for each of those guys. Chris Paul to make 3+ 3-pointers. I'll just tell you, he did hit 4 in game 1, but plus 140. I'll stay away from that one. I'll just stick with Ayton and Booker.
Nice. Yeah. So everybody make sure, put those in the chat, what you're going to ride with. Here's what I've got. I'm with you on Devin Booker, 2+ steals, plus 275. That's an excellent price for that right there. You got a nice shot at hitting that. I also like the Suns to win by 7+ points at plus 105. I'd like a little bit better of a payout, but I get it. You know, a spread of only 5. Here's the other thing. I kind of like the Bucks first to score 20 points. Like we saw in game 1 that the Suns won. I know they won the first quarter. They won the second quarter. I think their spread in the first quarter was 2, and I think the first half was 3. They hit both of those. The Bucks are a fantastic first quarter scoring team, right? And, you know, we've seen to where in first quarters, the Suns don't necessarily play Chris Paul all that much, right? Like they'll bench him, you know, a little bit. When I say bench, you know, they'll sit him down, right? Because they understand, you know, how he operates and what they need out of him. So I do think that the Bucks come out much better tonight than they did. So I kind of like that 20 points. Again, I mean, it's so tough, you know, because they could come out to, you know, a 19-4 run, you know, and then the Suns turn it up and score 16 unanswered. Like, you know, it's so, you know, arbitrary of a number. Understand that, but I do think that the Bucks come out a lot better than they did. So yeah, I'm gonna ride Bucks first to score 20. I'm gonna go with Booker 2+ steals, and I'm also gonna go with Suns plus 7 points at plus 105. Now, before we jump in to our next segment, we got a question in here. James Little asks, Brian, would you take LSU -4 UCLA now? You are a stud on this exact play right here. So let it rip, buddy.
Oh, yeah, man. So, James, we talked about this. We've talked about it multiple times. And our friends at BetMGM, they may be up to 4 now. They were 3.5. When was it? Early last week, or maybe even the week before, they were still at 3.5. And I was saying that I think, you know, 7 or fewer is a gift. Now, UCLA was a little improved last year, which is to say they were 3-4. They did have 4 one-possession losses. But still, man, so this is year 4 of Chip Kelly. So, in fact, I got my UCLA page right here in my Phil Steele mag. So they're the guys that are true seniors, which includes DTR, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who's their 3-year starting quarterback. 1 second here, and I'll have their record throughout their UCLA days, and it is not very good. Here we go. Let's see. Getting close. Here we go. So they've gone 3-9, 4-8, and 3-4. So that is 10 wins to 21 losses, 10 and 21. And now they've got an LSU team coming in there that we don't know who's going to be the quarterback, whether it's going to be Miles Brennan or Brad Johnson's son, Max, but both are good. Brennan had an 11-3 TDI&T ratio and 1,112 passing yards in just 3 games before the shoulder injury last year. And then Max Johnson got the last 2 starts of the year, and they stunned Florida. Kyle Pitts less Florida, but they beat us fair and square nonetheless. And at Florida, he wins. And then they beat Ole Miss, and they scored 53 points. So I think they're going to have good quarterback play. They return 9 starters on each side of the ball. So, yes, James, you're on to something. I love LSU. I know Alan likes Ole Miss. I agree on Ole Miss, and hopefully that number hadn't moved north of 7.5 where it was about a week ago when we talked. And I know Alan likes Alabama. Here, I'll quit talking for you, buddy. Throw out what you like.
No. You're right. I'm with you. I love Ole Miss. I love Alabama. I think it's 17.5, 18 somewhere against Miami. Yeah, I mean, Alabama shows up absolutely, and especially with a young team where they have lost a lot of talent to the NFL last year. Look, that's a we talk about position and situation betting. Yeah, that's one where Nick Saban is going to absolutely set a tone in college football, I guess we call training camp, whatever you want to call it, fall camp. Saban's going to be in their ass. Let me just go ahead and say that. So they've got a stud quarterback, the young prince in Young. So I think that, yeah, Alabama's absolutely a play. I like you in LSU with what you're saying. Yeah, love Ole Miss on that as well. Now, let's go back to the NBA. So I want to talk about series exact game score bettings, right? And what I mean by that is this. Let me get the numbers out here for everybody. All right, so let me just run through it really quickly. And what I mean by it is this: picking the team and the amount of games that they win the series in. Okay, so if you think the Suns win in 4, it's plus 550. Suns win in 5, plus 250. Suns win in 6, plus 425. Suns win in 7, plus 400. If you like the Bucks side, Bucks win the series in 5, plus 2,200. Bucks win in 6, plus 700. Bucks win in 7, plus 600. Excuse me. So let's talk about this really quickly and ways that you could approach this. If you don't like betting game by game, I get it. It's NBA Finals. Anything can happen. So this is a nice little area to where you can kind of hedge yourself and make some decent money if you could just pick who's going to win, right? So I'm just going to go out and say it. If we look at the Suns, all right, Suns win in 4, 5, 6, or 7. I don't think they win in 4. They could. Suns and 4, your boy, I don't think that they do. I think it's at least 5, and it could be 6 or 7. But you take a look at these numbers. All right, Suns in 5, plus 250. Suns in 6, plus 425. Suns in 7, plus 400. Here's what you could do. If you think the Suns are going to win, you could take Suns in 5 and Suns in 6 at the same unit price, whatever you want that unit to be. And if they win in 5 or 6, you profit either way. Obviously, picking one and hitting it, you're going to get a higher payout, but you can kind of use these numbers against the books. So if you like 5 or 6, you're playing either plus 250 or plus 425. Play those in the exact same, betting amount that you would, and you could profit either way. If you like the Suns in 4, 6, or 7, you can play all 3 of those at the same number and profit either way. You just need to make sure that the Suns don't win in 5. So you've got opportunities there. Now, if you like the Bucks to come back and win, dude, you could play all 3 of them right now, and all you need for them to do is win. It doesn't even matter how many games they win in because you're going to profit either way. So it's just an interesting look at how you can kind of use these numbers right now against the sports books, and understand that the numbers are going to change tremendously after the game tonight, one way or the other. So if you're going to play them and you're going to especially use a strategy of kind of hedging yourself, do it now. Do it before the game because it's going to get, worse for you as we go. So, Brian, I'll throw it to you. Any thoughts? And I'm not saying that you have to make a pick on it by any means, but just your thoughts seeing it. If you were given a free $100 bill, right, how would you go about playing this?
Yeah, well, I don't like the Bucks to win the series, but I like your strategy, what you're telling people. If there are our listeners out there that are very bullish on the Bucks to win the series, like you said, Alan, you could play for the same amount, Bucks in 5, 6, and 7. And if they win tonight and then take a 2-1 series lead, I mean, you'll have all sorts of hedge opportunities because the updated series price at that point would, if Phoenix is down 2-1, and even more so if they got to be down 3-1, which, by the way, I don't see that happening. I'm just talking strategically for those that might be thinking Bucks. Yeah, I mean, because going into game 4, if Milwaukee's up 2-1 and, you got $100 at 22-1 odds to win in 5 and 7-1 odds to win in 6 and 6-1 odds to win in 7, at that point, you could just take Phoenix to win the series at what I would believe would be plus money at that point. And then you probably just would be locked into for sure winning. Obviously, you'd rather it be in game 5 with the 22-1 odds there. But I'm going to say I think Milwaukee's going to get 2 games, whether they're 3 and 4 at home or maybe get tonight and 1 at home. I think Phoenix wins in 6. Now, I'm not implying, go bet a big amount on the plus 425 for them to win it in exactly 6. From the strategy standpoints that you were talking about to open up hedges for yourself, I think that's going to be most lucrative with the Bucks. But obviously, you got to be thinking the Bucks are going to win the series. I'm not thinking that. I don't think you are either, Alan. So I'll say Suns in 6.
Yeah. I like it. And again, I mean, you could take Suns in 6 and Suns in 5. You could take Suns in 6, Suns in 7, and Suns in 4. Like, there's so many opportunities here. And especially like you said, if you lock in the Bucks tonight and they end up, winning the game, I mean, there's so many other opportunities where you could hit on the Suns as well. It's something interesting to take a look. Like, there are opportunities here to where you can make, nice money. And with them, all being, such plus numbers, you don't have to bet, full units or anything like that. Like, you could play around with a 1/10 of a unit, a 1/4 of a unit, a 1/2 of a unit, whatever you want to do. I mean, you could certainly play, 1 unit or more. But yeah, I mean, it's just something nice to where if you don't want to go game by game by game, or if you want to add something to your plate, a nice little, slice of cherry pie beyond your meat and 3 lunch, right? Like, it's a nice little addition. Now, as we transition out of that, let's go to our final segment. And before we do, we say, BetMGM app, make sure that you get it, download it. If you put a $1 moneyline wager on either the Bucks or the Suns tonight, either team, if either of those hit a 3-pointer, you win $100 in free bets. It's that simple. Make sure to use promo code A2Z100. Get yourself in that, and it's really nicely. So, Brian, let's do one thing real quick. Let's revise. Let's review our playoff parlays of what we've got. I'm going to kick it over to you first. You got 3 plays. Quickly run us through what you got.
Yeah, so the over 220 and 1/2 in the NBA game tonight, followed by Stephen Wonderboy Thompson at a minus 160 price in the co-main event for UFC 264 Saturday night. And then Dustin the Diamond Poirier minus 130 with our friends at BetMGM to close out the parlay. That should be a plus 448 payout. And, if the first 2 hit, if tonight's over hits and Wonderboy wins, if you want, now I like to gamble, but if you wanted to get yourself a small hedge, you could come back with a little bit of McGregor. And then that way, if the plus 448 doesn't pay out, you could win on McGregor, whatever you had risked on the parlay to either break even or maybe even go a little more to get a slight profit. But I hope all 3 win, obviously.
There we go. All right. So mine, I'm going to go with Suns, the spread minus 5. The over, like we said, 220 and a half. It's somewhere around that. Yeah, I'm going to go with both of those. It pays out plus 250. Now, Brian, a little additional segment that we have. Got UFC 264. You're going out there. You'll be at the weigh-ins tomorrow. Obviously, the main event, the big card. We've got McGregor-Poirier. Run us through. How is this card? What's it going to look like? We've got some big names that are on it. We've got a nice big-time fight, there at the, the headliner. Yeah, run us through UFC 264, man. What do you think?
Yeah, so I'm going to have a straight bet on Poirier as well as in the parlay. And I'm just going to give you some history on McGregor bets. So all the, literally fans come from Ireland, but, Irish people in general, whether they're coming from Boston or wherever in America, and like I said, literally from Ireland, they flood into Vegas on McGregor weekends. And so I was a little surprised, the buildup for this fight for 2 months, the line's basically been pick 'em, neither guy more than -115 or maybe -120. Well, yesterday, some money came in on Poirier, and a lot of books moved to -130, -135. But I can tell you that if maybe it won't happen this time, but I think it will, because it happens every time. There's late money on McGregor that'll normally come in late Friday or all throughout the day Saturday. Like, for instance, the fight 5.5 months ago in January, Connor opened at -170. He was around -240 the week of the fight, and then he ends up closing north of -300. So my point is, maybe wait. Obviously, for the parlay, you can't wait because it starts with the over tonight. But for a straight bet on Dustin, instead of going with -130 or -135 today, maybe wait. I won't be surprised if we are able to get Dustin at even money come Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening, maybe even a small plus. Now, my Wonder Boy bet, he's -160. Too much respect for Gilbert Burns to lay a -160 price. I like it in the parlay. Now, if the over loses tonight, then just do a Wonder Boy and Dustin parlay. Okay, a couple of other quick ones. I like Carlos Condit as a +165 underdog against Max Griffin. So Max Griffin is only 5-6 in the UFC. He's won back-to-back fights, but a couple of no names. Carlos Condit is the former interim champion in the welterweight division. I thought he beat Robbie Lawler to what would have won him the undisputed belt, but the decision went Lawler's way. That was several years ago. And then he had a losing slide. He got submitted by Damian Maia, who's in the top 3 or 4 all-time wins and submissions in UFC history. He lost a close decision to Neil Magny and lost to a couple other really good guys, but he's back on the winning track. He beat Court McGee. He beat Matt Brown. And this is a big step up in competition for Max Griffin, whose best win is against Mike Perry, whereas Condit has career wins against the likes of Nick Diaz, Martin Kampman, Jake Ellenberger, et cetera, et cetera. So I like Condit as a +165 dog. Then in another what's going to be a real underrated fight, it's going to start the ESPN prelims at 8 Eastern on Saturday night. Trevin Giles against Doriscus Duplessis, who's a South African guy who has 17 career fights. None have gone the distance. Trevin Giles, 16 career fights. Only 3 have gone the distance, and we can get under 2.5 rounds at a -110 price. So let's do that. And, the Nico Price, Michelle Piella. Let's see. I like the under on that. And hold on one second. We can get that you can do it either under 1.5 for plus money, +135, +140, or under 2.5's got like -130 to -140 juice. If it's only -130 juice, I would probably say go under 2.5. If it gets much north of that price wise, and you can still get a +140 or maybe even better on under 1.5, I would do that on Nico Price and Michelle Piella. And there we go.
Well done. It's going to be a heck of a card, man. I'm excited. Saturday's going to be a lot of fun. Our man Lucas Bergs has 2 great comments and questions here. One, he took Max on that one. Understandable for sure. And also asked, no show tomorrow. Correct. No show on Friday. Obviously, Brian is traveling. And we also wanted to make sure that we just got it in, right? Because, as for Friday, I think all we have really is Major League Baseball. So we want to make sure that we got the NBA Finals in, on the show this week as well. So that's all the time that we have for today. Again, really appreciate everyone tuning in. We certainly always do. Appreciate BetMGM as well. Make sure to use that promo code A to Z 100. And, dude, we're around, like Twitter, wherever. Let us know your picks for today, what you're riding in the NBA Finals tonight, Major League Baseball, what you've got, UFC for this weekend. I want to see it, man. We want to see it. Let's talk about it. you've got any interesting parlays, et cetera, things like that. Lucas, thank you so much. We appreciate you. Everybody tuning in, jumping in the chat. We really, really do appreciate you. And Brian, let's make some money this weekend, right? Let's do it tonight. Let's do it this weekend. We've got it, man. We got it set up. So appreciate everybody. Thank you so much.
Good luck, everybody.